Welcome to the Real P&L Trading Show, where I share my real P&L every week on every one of my accounts, each tied to a specific trading system, so you can see exactly how each strategy performs in real time. And I also share my safe wheel strategy for free. Now, I want to just check, and then you guys let me know in the comment section here in the chat that you can hear me okay, you can see me okay, and everything is working okay. Let me move my camera down a little bit. All right. Also, be sure to post any questions that you might have. We're on a little bit of a delay, so I want to make sure I get to all your questions before I end the broadcast. And Jeff says he hears me good. Some guy says yes. Okay, thank you. Now let's start with the earnings edge, right? What happened with the earnings edge last week? I traded HD, Home Depot. And you can see here that I've made over $2,800 this year with Home Depot. So let's take a look at the spreadsheet here. But first, I'm going to look at the net liquidation of the account, which is $20,338. Let's put that in there. So it was $19,175. Now it's $20,338. And I traded Home Depot, made $1,218. Currently, since I upgraded the system to 3.0, my record is 16 wins, 2 losses. I've got an 88% win rate, average win 1,061, average loss 874. So I'm doing quite well. The earnings edge is doing well. And you can see the results since 2022. We're outperformed the market by about 80%. And then in 2023, I underperformed by 7. In 2024, I underperformed by around 50%. And so far this year, I'm outperforming by 230%. So I'm outperforming quite a bit. Let's see what, see, I'm up 306% since 2022 in this account. I've only traded the earnings edge in this account. That's all I've done. Let's see what SPY is trading. It's at 637.65, so it's up from last week. And it's up about 8.9% this year to date. So we're in August 11th today. So about 7 months, just over 7 months, up about 8.9%. So the market's doing better than normal. But you can see when you compare the earnings edge, it's not even close. I have a 306% return. I basically have turned $5,000 into over $20,000 since 2022. In fact, in 2025, I've started with $6,053, and I turned that into $20,338 with this 3.0 system. Okay, so Don wants me to freeze the top row so we can see the column headers. I don't know what you mean by that. Are you talking about my spreadsheet? Just let me know. Let's see here. I'll get to the comments here in just a minute. Let's go. That is the earnings edge. So let's look at the PL5 Pro account. What's going on with that one? So that would be, let's go into this one, and the net lick is 427.95. 427.95. So it was 418. So up a little bit here, 427.95. And you can see how the PL5 Pro is doing since inception, which was July 19th, 2024. I mean, I've been trading this for quite a while, but I tweaked the system and started this particular account. I made it public on July 19th, 2024. So I don't really talk about what this trade did in the past before that, even though it probably did well or whatever it did. I don't really claim whatever it did until I started showing it live. And you can see that I'm up about 4%. Now the market's up 16. So this is underperforming, but I do have my drawdowns are about half. So you can kind of double this number. So really, I'm up around 8% on a risk adjusted basis. So still underperforming a little bit this year, down 10%, but I have a good. I strongly believe that I'm going to recover, and I will surpass the. I'll surpass the S&P 500 even on a nominal basis. I think I can. I'll beat it here. I just need a little more time on the PL5 Pro. Okay, let's talk about the Premier Level 5. And that's my account here on Interactive Brokers. So let's take a look at that. I can't show you the whole account or it will give you my account number. So you can see that I have $33,351 in there. So I'm up a little bit from last week, 33,351. This particular trade I did from July 16, 2024. So in the last 6 months of 2024, it was up 10.2%. The market was up 3.9. And then so far this year, it's up 0.86, about 1%, and the market's up around 9%. So underperforming this year. But when you look at the overall totals, it's up about 11.1, and the market's up 13.2. This particular system, the way that I use this variant, will draw down with the market approximately the same. So these numbers are going to be pretty even, and there's no risk adjustment here. So 11.1% versus 13.2%, pretty much even with the S&P 500, and we'll see how the year goes on. Okay, so that's the PL5. That's the Earnings Edge, the PL5 Pro, and the PL5. Now I had a question. You guys just let me know in the comments, and I'll get to those comments in a minute. But I'm considering sharing these 3 accounts here on a subscription basis and just trading those accounts right in front of you for a subscription. I'm wondering if that would be something that would be of interest. So let me know in the comments. You guys can watch me possibly trade these 3 accounts because I've never really shown anyone sharing those 3 accounts and trading those 3 accounts. But I'm thinking about doing that. And then we can see all 4 of these particular accounts here. All right, let's talk about the safe wheel now. First, I'm going to get into what is the account balance. So we'll go to that account, which is this one here, 5465. This account's not moving too much. 5465. Wow. Okay. That is exactly what it was last week. So obviously it's not moving too much. All right. So let's see, 637. Yeah. So in 2022, you can see the results of the safe wheel were outperformed by 40%. Then I underperformed in 2023 by about 20%. Then I underperformed in 2024 by 37%. And then so far this year, underperforming a little bit by about 8%, 9%. You can see my overall total up 9.3% since 2022. But the thing is, I get about half the drawdown, so you can double this number on a risk adjusted basis. But I'm still underperforming a little bit here. But one of the good things about this is it's the safe wheel. You can learn how to trade options, and you can learn with very, very minimal risk. And that's really how you want to learn how to trade. You want to learn how to trade with very minimal risk. And that's what the safe wheel does. And in fact, there's a link in the description for this safe wheel as a flow chart. It has exactly what to do, when to do it. There's no gray areas. It's all black and white. The whole full course I have for free. Hit the link in the description there, and you can get this course for free and learn how to trade. And if you don't know how to trade the wheel, this is going to teach you how to trade the wheel and a little bit beyond that, and you're going to get it for free. Okay, so that is the safe wheel. Let's go ahead and trade it. I'm actually going to trade this. So I have made every trade live here on YouTube in this account since 2022, except for the little $5 call that I buy every Friday. So last Friday, I bought a call for $5. All right. So let's take a look at this. I'm going to manage it. So I'm going to look at my hedges first. So I have this put hedge here. And so I have 3 questions with this hedge. Number one, do I own 200 shares? No, so I do nothing about that. Number two, how many days in trade do I have? Well, is it under 100? No, it's 130, so I'm not depreciating too fast, so nothing to do there. And is 25 within 70% of the actual price of the underlying? So I'm going to go ahead and see if it's close enough. I want my hedge to be close enough to protect me. So 25 divided by 3130, right? Because it's trading at 3130. It's at 79%. So that's fine. If it was 69% or lower, I would have to move this hedge up closer. I do have to put it to a strike price that's closer to this, so it would give me the protection that I want. So the hedges are in place. Everything's great. From the hedges now, I just run the traditional wheel. Now, what's going on here? It looks like I own 100 shares, and it looks like I got in at $33. So I want to sell a call at the $33 mark or higher. I don't want to sell it lower, because if I sell it lower, I can get assigned and lose my shares, and I would lose on the shares. I don't want to buy the shares for $33 and sell them for $32, for example. I want to buy them for 33 and sell them for at least 33 and collect premium along the way. So I'm going to see, can I get any kind of premium at the $33 strike call? Let's take a look. So I've got JD in here, and I'm going to always trade in the nearest expiration because you can get most bang for your buck. In other words, these are going to depreciate down to zero on Friday, or at zero extrinsic value, which means that if they're out of the money, they won't be worth anything. And if they're in the money, they would only be worth what this difference between the stock price and the strike price. So here, I want to sell the 33. Remember, I got assigned at 33, and I want to get at least around 31 cents. And I can do that. So I'm going to sell this covered call here. I'm going to do one of those. Because my account's worth between $5,000 and $10,000, I'm going to do one contract here and 3 put hedges. So the $33 strike. Now, the reason, typically I would not be able to sell this for enough premium, but I believe we're coming into earnings. I'll take a look at that in a second. So mid price here, I'm going to sell one of these, 36 cents. So I'm going to collect $36 approximately on this call. And if I get called away, I just break even on the shares. Okay, so the order filled. So I got $36. So ABC, always be collecting. So I collected another $36 no matter what. I'm always collecting premium. And then looking at the chart, it looks like we are coming into earnings on the 14th. That's like 3 days from now. And I think that is why I'm able to get some decent premium up in here. Normally, these probably are not selling at this level. You might get 36, 37 cents right at the money. But I'm able to get out of the money and sell some premium because we're coming into earnings. So I might get called away from my shares, or the stock might drop significantly and my put hedge will cover my losses. So that's basically how the safe whale works, and that is the trade for the safe whale for this week. All right, I'm going to, let's see. Let's get into any questions or comments. So Jeff says he hears me. I appreciate that. And some guy says, good afternoon. Good afternoon, even though it's morning here. It's 7:30 in the morning. Don says, all is good, meaning you can hear and see me. Kevin says, good morning here. And Will, EE at 4 tranches now. So the question mark is, I guess you're having a question about my sizing. As my account is increasing in value, I'm risking a little less in terms of using my buying power. So I'm using around a third of my buying power. I used to use about half of it. So if I had about a $5,000 or $10,000 account, I'll use about half of my buying power for the earnings edge. But now that I'm around 20,000, I use about a third of the buying power, just to reduce that risk just a little bit. And Don asks, can you freeze the top row so we can see the column headers? The top row. Are you talking about? Well, I think I already asked you about that, so maybe you'll tell me. Will, sharing the accounts would be great. What would the price point be? I'm thinking around $400 a month. And what about selling it from your EE subscription, like a premium fee from EE that includes these accounts? Yeah, so I do have a subscription model for the Earnings Edge, but you can check the link in the description to get more information on that. Yeah, you could do like an upsell kind of a thing. I don't know. I'm just kind of throwing it around right now. I like to throw out my ideas to you guys, and you guys kind of let me know what you think. Will says, always like picking your brain. Is rising amid U.S. China trade talks and Ukraine peace hopes. Um, Honestly, I don't even hardly know anything about that because all my trades are based on statistics and probabilities, and they really have nothing to do with the news or fundamental analysis or stories. So I don't pay too much attention to that. I mainly, if I'm going to spend some time thinking about what's important with my trading, I'm going to do back tests. So I don't spend time on those types of things or thinking about those things, I think. And if I do have the extra time, I back test ideas because I always have ideas to back test. I'm way behind on the idea back testing situations. And Will says the Euro USD rise. Yeah. Again, don't pay attention to the uh, what is that, Forex type of thing. Don't pay much attention to it. Any potential trade strategies using markets outside the US market? Not really. I really like to stay here because, well, first of all, I like the hours, 6:30 to 1 o'clock my time. And second of all, I think this is where all the liquidity is, or most of it, or the best of it. And if I were to look at some time market outside the US market, you're probably thinking in terms of direction, right? You're thinking, well, there's probably something you can buy cheap and sell at a higher price. And I don't really think like that, or I don't trade like that. So I don't need to go anywhere. I trade SPX mainly with a majority of my trading capital. And it's the most liquid product. There's tax advantages to the SPX. And like I said, it's the most liquid and it's the largest one. And I kind of get a feel for how it reacts and crashes. That's important. I need something that reacts a certain way and crashes. Everybody likes to buy puts on the S&P 500, and that's part of my strategy. So yeah, no, I don't have any reason to go anywhere else. Don, can you review the hedges? Okay. So in terms of the hedges, I've got two. I've got the December 19th, which expires in 130 days, and I've got three of them, right? So I will never own more than 200 shares with this system. Therefore, I'll always be short 300 shares, but I'm going to be short at the $25 put. So I'm basically short 300 shares at the $25 put. So if it gets below 25, I'm in the money 300 shares. And a problem, I may own shares going down. It might, and I may not. But if I do own shares, because when you run the wheel, you have the risk of owning shares. Okay, so and that's where your risk lies. It's basically a long strategy. And when you own shares, you want protection. So I own these three puts here that'll protect me at a 3-to-1 or 3-to-2. I could own 200, 3-to-2 basis. So that is my put hedge. And I go further out in time because I want to buy, when I'm buying options, I don't want them to depreciate too much. And so I buy them further out in time and I get less depreciation. So they're there for my protection. Why do I now? The next hedge is this call. Why do I buy this call? It's a little $5 call. I buy this call to protect this hedge. This is a hedge for a hedge. And the reason is because what if the JD gets a takeover bid and goes from 31 to 50? This hedge here is going to be worth 0. Well, I don't want that hedge to be worth 0 because I trade, I paid a certain amount for it and I want to protect it. So I spend $5 every week approximately to protect this hedge in case we have like a takeover bid or JD just goes way high. So I have all my bases protected. Now, if JD went super high and I didn't sell a call against this and I own these 100 shares, that'd be great. But because I'm selling a call against this, this is not going to help me if the JD goes to $50. So I have this long call here. So I have a hedge for the hedge. Okay, so that kind of explains why and how the hedges work on the safe wheel. Don says, yes, on your special sheet, I couldn't see what certain columns represented. Okay, so you're talking about my spreadsheet. What did certain columns represent? So I don't think I even put that up there, but basically this was my starting capital in 2022, and then this is my ending capital. And then you can see how much money I made or lost in 2022 here, and then the percentage. And then it has the S&P 500. In 2022, it was at 474.96 at the beginning of the year. At the end of the year, it was 382. SPY. Okay, so this is SPY. So it was down $92. SPY does. So it was down 19.48% in 2022. So that's basically what those columns mean. So starting capital, ending capital, profit or loss, percentage. Pretty simple, not too sophisticated. I like to keep things simple as much as possible. All right. One thing I want to go over today too. Now, there is a link in the description, and one of the things that I do, or one of the things that I believe, is that if you sell a course online, that on YouTube especially, that you should share your P&L. And that's one of the mantras that I have, and I believe that. And if you also believe that, click that like button for me, because that helps the channel grow and it helps get more people to see this. And I also put this in a link in the description so you could copy and paste this in to any description of any trader that you're interested in, and you're watching this guy trade and you want to ask him the right questions in order to kind of see if he would share his P&L. And so I have this here in the link in the description where you can just copy and paste it in. And I ask, do you believe instructors should be profitable in order to teach others how to be profitable? Believe it or not, there's some instructors out there that don't believe that. They don't believe they need to be profitable to teach you trading. Now, if you are okay learning from someone that hasn't proven themselves as being profitable, or you believe they're not profitable, but you still want to learn from them, that's up to you. That's not me. And I don't think that's most people, but there are people out there like that. And I think it's a very, very small percentage. But if you believe that your instructor should be profitable so you can learn from them, or at least share what they're, whether they're profitable or not, you can ask that question. And then also, do you believe trading instructors should share their actual P&L, including audited financials or an equity curve, because it clearly shows when money was added or withdrawn from the account? Thanks. Because you can show your net liquidation value, but that doesn't mean you didn't add money to the account, right? So you want to see the equity curve. So if you ask these questions here, you can get some answers, and you can really get to the bottom line. Is this guy making money trading? Because if he was making money trading, I think he would share that, or her. I think they would share that. And in fact, there was someone named Tori Trades, I believe, who did share her statements for this year. And it looks like this year she's made money. Now, will she continue to share her statements? Because I've seen this before. I've seen traders where they've had a few good months and they actually share their statements or their P&L over that period. So they look back and they're like, oh, yeah, I've done well. Let's share my trading statements. But then going forward, you're probably maybe or maybe not going to see that. But once they kind of start sharing them, and they're kind of on the hook for sharing, for the rest. I did that with Humble Trader. I remember I did a review on her, and she had a few good months, and she showed her P&L for those particular months. In hindsight, of course, she looked back and said, "Oh, it's good to share." And then when I asked her to continue to do that, I didn't get any kind of response. So yeah, you might see it temporarily, but are they doing it consistently over a 1 year period, over a year and a half, over a 2 year period? Really, 3 years is kind of a good litmus test. But ask these questions. This is the way you want to ask it. You don't want to ask specifically for their P&L, because then they're going to say, "Oh no, I don't want to give you." They'll have excuses. It's personal and all this stuff. So you just ask them in general, do you believe instructors should share their P&L? And just in the description of this, copy and paste it in to your favorite trader and see what they say, and let me know what they say. I want to know what they say. But don't be negative. Don't get defensive or offensive or anything. And if you want to share with what they said, like, that would be pretty awesome to hear. So like next week, you could just tell me what happened just in the chat here. You can just say what their response was. I'd always be interested in that. And I think other people would be interested in that too. And if we find someone that shares their P&L, hey, that's good. I want people to share their P&L. So that's one of my reasons for my channel, is to get this out there, to get everyone to be sharing their P&L. And this is one way to do it. And you guys can help. Also, hit the like button. You can help, because that will also get this video out to more people. Okay, so any more questions or comment? I don't see anything. So in parting, I always like to say, if the P&L is not real, what else are they trying to conceal? I'll be back next week. I appreciate you guys.